Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Through this video, you can quickly note down as well as understand Class 8th History Lesson 5 Question and Answers. The lesson name is When People Rebel and the book is Ncert. So first of all, I've written some important points. Just write them down. These are actually not included here and there in the lesson in the question and answers. So I've included them over here. Like the meaning of mutiny, revolt of 1857, that when did it begin? When was Mangal Pandey hanged to death? And a little about Bahadur Shah Zafar and the Charter Act of 1858. So I'm moving on to the question and answers. Question 1. What could be the reason for the confidence of British rulers about their position in India before May 1857? So British were confident about their position because powers of Nawabs and Rajas was on decline. British residents were present in the courts of Indian rulers and they were interfering in their local affairs. Many kingdoms were forced to disband their army under the policy of subsidiary alliance. It was decided that Bahadur Shah Zafar would be the last Mughal king. From 1757 to 1857, the company successfully annexed various Indian states under various policies. Apart from the company, there was no other dominant authority in the Indian subcontinent. British had trained army and advanced weapons, so they were confident about their position. What impact did Bahadur Shah Zafar's support to the rebellion have on the people and the ruling families? When Bahadur Shah Zafar provided support, many Indian rulers felt that when Mughal emperor can rule again, they would be able to rule their territories again as well. Bahadur Shah Zafar was being declared as a symbolic head because the main heads were British. So it inspired the rebels to fight against the British. Emperors wrote letters to various chiefs and rulers of the country to come forward to fight the British. Regiment after regiment mutinied and joined the rebel troops at Delhi, Kanpur, and Lucknow. People from diverse backgrounds in different towns and villages also rose up in rebellion. People rallied around local leaders, zamindars, and chiefs, making rebel forces stronger than ever. How did the British succeed in securing the submission of rebel landowners of Awadh? So first of all, the British tried and hanged a number of rebel leaders who had challenged their authority. They announced rewards for loyal landowners. They were assured that they would be allowed to enjoy traditional rights over their lands. Those who rebelled were told if they submit to the British and if they had not killed any white people, then they can have their land back and it will remain safe. Then explain the causes of resentment that brewed amongst the peasants, zamindars, sepoys, and Indian rulers. That means why were the people unhappy with the British? So kings were unhappy because in order to increase the revenue, company disposed the Indian rulers. Their territories were annexed. Even British stationed their residents in the courts of Indian kings and interfered in their daily affairs. Then amongst peasants and zamindars, they were unhappy because of high taxes and rigid methods of revenue collection. When they were not able to pay their loan, they had to lose their lands which they had tilled for generations. Sepoys were unhappy because of the low pay, low allowances, and the conditions of the services. Some of the new rules violated their religious beliefs, like they were forced to use new cartridges which were greased with cows and pig fat, and they were forced to serve overseas through sea routes. Okay, the next question is what were the social reforms initiated by the British? Laws were passed to stop the practice of sati and encourage widow remarriage. English education was actively promoted. Company allowed Christian missionaries to function freely in its domain and to own land and property. A new law was passed to make conversion to Christianity easier. Then question 6. In which regions was the uprising of the revolt of 1857 most widespread? So this is part of your map work also. Delhi, Meerut, Lucknow, Kanpur, Jhansi, Faizabad, Bareilly. Question 7. Name a few important leaders of the revolt of 1857. So they were Nana Sahib, Mangal Pandey, Birjis Kadar, Kunwar Singh, Bakat Khan, Rani Lakshmi Bai. Then eighth question is extremely important, often asked as a 5 marker. Explain the immediate cause of revolt of 1857. On 29th March 1857, Mangal Pandey was hanged to death. Then soldiers were forced to use cartridges greased with fat of cow and pig, and when they refused, 85 soldiers were jailed on 9th May 1857. Then the sepoys of Meerut marched to Meerut jail and released imprisoned sepoys, and they killed British officers. They rode all night on 10th May and reached Delhi in the early hours of 11th May. Numerous British officers were killed and their ammunition was seized, and soldiers declared Bahadur Shah Zafar as their king. What was the demand of Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi that was refused by the Britishers? So Rani Lakshmibai's only demand was that her adopted son should be declared king after her husband's death. What did the British do to protect the interests of those who converted to Christianity? So they were provided financial help, free education, and right to inheritance of ancestral property. Next, question number 11. What objection did the sepoys have to the new cartridges that they were asked to use? This is also important. The cartridges were believed to be greased with fat of cow and pig, and hence the sepoys rebelled because Hindus regarded cows as their sacred animal, while Muslims regarded pork as inedible. How did the British East India Company fight back against the rebels of Great Upheaval of 1857? So Delhi was recaptured from the rebel forces in September 1857. Last Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar was sentenced to life imprisonment in Rangoon. Rani Lakshmi Bai and Tantya Tope both were defeated and killed. British tried to win back the loyalty of people and announced rewards for loyal landholders. Rebellion was suppressed in 2 years, but it was not an easy task. So British now had to do something to keep people happy so that such a thing never occurs again. The next question is on that only and very important again. Describe the aftermath of the failure of the mutiny. First thing is transfer of powers of East India Company to the British Crown. So that means whatever role East India Company had to play over India, they had the authority. Now it will be with the British Crown. A member of British cabinet was appointed as Secretary of State for India. The position Governor General of India will now be called Viceroy. The British government accepted direct responsibility for ruling India. All ruling chiefs of the country were assured that their territory will not be annexed in future. They were allowed to pass on their kingdoms to their heirs, including adopted sons. Number of Indian soldiers were reduced in the British army and number of European soldiers were increased. The land and property of Muslims was confiscated on a large scale. The British decided to respect the religious and social practices of the people of India, and landlords and zamindars were provided security of rights over their land. That's it. This chapter also has very important map work, which is often asked in question in the paper. And the major one is the major centers of revolt of 1857. So for the map work, I've prepared a separate video which includes all the maps of class 8. That means the history maps as well as geography maps. I'll provide the link in the description box. So that's it for this chapter. Thank you so much. हो गया मेरा गला दुख गया बोलते बोलते तुमने इतना सुंदर बनाया ना मैं तेरे से आइडिया लेके बनाऊंगी अब अगली बार पता नहीं तू कर क्या रहा है लेकिन तू कर अच्छे से रहा है कुछ ये कहाँ सिखाया तुझे किसने सिखाया तुझे ये वाला डिजाइन ये तो मैंने भी कभी नहीं किया नहीं मैंने डिजाइन तो खुद सोच के किया बट दिस इज लुकिंग सो गुड व्हाई डू यू क्राई यू प्रॉमिस मी यू विल नेवर हाइड योर वर्क फ्रॉम योर टीचर ठीक है तूने अभी क्या कहा था मैंने पिछली बार भी ड्राइंग मैम को नहीं दिखाई थी बहुत बुरी बात जैसी बना रहे हो जो बना रहे हो मैम को दोगे फाइन और कभी भी क्लास में अकेले नहीं बैठना प्रॉमिस करो